Ms. Luria, you had another set of questions.
Well, thank you again. Thank you again, Chairman Garamendi, for allowing me to participate today. Wanted to go back to aircraft carriers. Specifically wanted to talk about the Ford, and I know Admiral Moore, dating back to 2011, you were PEO carriers before your current position. And, you know, over the course of the Ford, there are 4 particular technologies that have been the most challenging: the dual band radar, the catapults, the arresting gear, and the aircraft elevators. Can you give us a brief summary of where each of those are? I'm most interested in the aircraft elevators because my understanding, not the aircraft elevators, the ammunition elevators, because my understanding and my most recent visit, there were only 2 that were operable. None of those go to the magazines. If you can't put ammunition in the magazines, you can't deploy the ship, and it's not really an asset that's available for war fighting. And in addition to that, what is the long-term focus for getting that work done? I've asked several times from the Navy to have a specific schedule that takes into account the shock trials, the eventual deployment, and all of the other pieces that need to go into place. So would really like to focus on the Ford for a few minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Maybe I can take that question. So I'm happy to provide you a specific schedule that works in all the timelines. We'll have the ship after it goes on its PDT&T over the next 18 months.
So is there an actual schedule? Because
Yes,
I got
there
the update to the Senate Armed Services Committee, and it didn't have an actual schedule that included the deployment and all the other timelines.
Yes, ma'am. I've got it here. I'm happy to sit down with you and share it with you, or schedule an office call and go through that and whatever detail you'd like. Over the weekend, we certified our 3rd elevator, so that's turned over to the crew.
Right, but that only goes from the flight deck to the hangar bay. You're still not putting anything in or out of the magazines.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we are on track for the upper elevators. We have 3 of the lower elevators in construction and tests. They're moving. They're going down. I'll happy to run through the schedule with you. We're ferrying in the completion of those with the need dates for the crew for training and certification when they start flight ops in the calendar year, and working in how we're going to finish up those elevators in tandem with availability of ship when it's over at the Naval Station.
Okay, so it's going to deploy on time? What is on time? It should have already deployed by now, right? So are we looking at 23? Are we looking at 24? Is even that optimistic?
In terms of operational deployment, we're working that right now with the CNO. We should have that next 30 days.
So you do or you don't have a full schedule?
We are re-looking at that full schedule in lieu of shock trials and working with the CNO to make sure we've got alignment between the CNO, the fleet, and myself in delivering all the elements of the ship for deployment. So we should have that available to you when it's available. I'd happy to come over and brief.
Okay, I'd look forward to talking about that. And I'm not sure if Mr. Gertz or Admiral Moore would like to provide the update on the dual band radar, catapults, and arresting gear, and where we are with those systems and testing and operability.
So we're working all those. We'll go test those in the PDT&E session. So we've completed the work we had planned to do over the PSA with those. When the ship goes to after PSA, we'll verify the maintenance activities, and we will, in this next 18 months, fully exercise all those systems as we train and certify crew and get those systems up and running. And our intent is to get, we've had 787 or 747, I think, traps and launches. Our intent is to put that in the thousands to fully check out all those systems, shake them all out, make sure they are ready to go to war.
So in that 700 or so launches and recoveries, did we meet the operational design requirements for successful launches and recoveries? Or I believe there was a higher than anticipated failure rate during that first set of testing. And what have we done to improve?
Yes, ma'am. The biggest issue is just sheer numbers. To get any confidence and reliability that we don't have a sample size large enough. And so our intent, working with the fleet and the captain in this next 18-month cycle, is to get thousands of reps and sets on those cycles. Make sure we're comfortable that we understand their reliability, confidence in their performance, and that we can train and certify the crew to operate those in a wartime environment.
Okay, and my last question is, and maybe Admiral Moore, since you have a lot of history with this program going back to 2011 as PEO carriers, when was the ship originally planned to deploy, when construction started?
Well, probably the original delivery, excuse me.
The original delivery was in the 2013 timeframe, and so I think the original deployment date would probably be in the 2018 timeframe. If you look back, based on what the schedules that were built for the original delivery plan.
So the original deployment should have been 2018,
That's correct.
a year ago, and best estimates were looking at 2024,
I think we'll beat that, but. I
6
think
years
this-
past that.
I think the secretary will come give you the details, and we're working to pull as far back to the left as we can, but I think we're going to beat 2024 for sure.
I just truly don't feel like this is a great investment as a taxpayer. $13 billion in a ship that's going to deploy 6 years past its original design timeline. And have we incorporated any of the lessons learned from the construction of the Ford in the 79?
Yes, ma'am, we have. Two things ongoing. One is for those 4 systems, also done an independent review to make sure we've got the sustainment and all the things we need to sustain those systems, not just operate them. Secondly, we're seeing right now in 4 and 79 about an 18% reduction in the man hours to construct that ship. On the contract we have for 80 and 81, there'll be another 18% reduction. So yes, we have lots of lessons learned from first in class of that ship. We're incorporating even in elevators those lessons learned into the future ships.
So we chose not to prototype some of these systems on shore-based prototypes before building the Ford, specifically the aircraft elevators. Is it my understanding that we're now actually going to build a shore-based prototype in order to test these and make sure that they're fully operable, functional in the next of class?
Yes, ma'am. For the weapons elevators, we're building both a digital twin. We have a software version of that. We're doing a hardware in a loop version of that, as well as a full shore-based standalone system up at Philadelphia, which will allow us to both test anything we need as well as ensure we can support those as we work through the class of ships. It is a lesson learned, obviously.
So I think I'm out of town, but specifically, look forward to in the future talking about those types of lessons learned on other ship construction programs, either currently underway. I had the opportunity to visit the Zumwalt recently when I was out on the West Coast, and then also some of the planned classes that we have, the frigate, the large surface combatant, the unmanned surface vessels, and how we plan to avoid some of these pitfalls in those newer programs that we've experienced in, say, the last 5 ship construction programs that we've had.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.